Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the September event of our 2024 SalesPad webinar series. My name is Elizabeth Morris. I'm the events manager here at Cavallo. To view the entire webinar lineup, I encourage you to visit our events page at www.cavallo.com/events-schedule. From there, you'll be able to register for every webinar that we have for the remainder of the year, as well as view recordings of past webinars. So speaking of past webinars, we had a fantastic webinar yesterday called Unlock Hidden Profits with the Power of Data Analysis. Like I said, I know many of you in today's call were with us yesterday. We at Cavallo know that many businesses struggle to maximize profits or margins. Yesterday, one of our profit experts, Mike Radin, shared how Cavallo is helping businesses leverage ERP data to minimize profit erosion. So profit analytics is a powerful tool. I encourage you all to view that recording from yesterday. And of course, let us know if you have any questions or would like to schedule a private demo to see more. So switching gears to today's event, you can expect about a 45-minute presentation, and then we'll follow it with some time for Q&A. Feel free to ask questions at any point using that Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we will do our very best to get to all of those at the end. Lastly, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to share it with colleagues as early as tomorrow. It'll be on our YouTube channel and that events page. We are super excited to have Brandon Bolenbach, a pricing expert and senior implementation consultant, with us today. Brandon will help take your pricing to the next level with a wide variety of pricing and discount options in SalesPad. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Brandon to kick us off and introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you. So as Elizabeth said, I'm going to cover the SalesPad pricing, various pricing options we have to offer, as well as some discount options and other things that are sort of along the lines of pricing discounts, maybe like, buy one, get one free or upsell items, things like that. Things to, make sure your pricing is in line and also maybe help you become a little bit more profitable along the way too. Just to start off a little bit about me. I'm, if you can't tell from the picture, the guy with the beard in the circle, and that's my bobblehead to compare to. I've been at Cavallo for going on 11 years. In October, at the end of October, it'll be 11 years. I started out on our support team. So I know a lot of you guys interact with our support team every day. Great way to, get involved with the product, start learning. So I did that for about 6 to 9 months. And then I started going over to the projects team, the implementation consulting team, and that's where I've pretty much been ever since. So it's a nice, just a nice mix of projects and customers and things and problems to solve. So every day is a little different, which is nice. A few more things, personal things about me, some hobbies that I have. I like to read, mostly sci-fi, fantasy. Since it's getting to be spooky time, I'm trying to quit being such a scaredy cat and get into some horror, but we'll see how well that takes. I also like to watch movies and TV shows, mostly just kind of repeat the same shows over and over again. New shows require brain power that I don't always have at the end of the day, so just putting on like It's Always Sunny or Seinfeld, because good just background noise for me. I'm also an amateur watch enthusiast. I threw that on there because of another consultant's got me into watches. So I don't have any of the crazy nice ones, but I have a couple of watches that are just fun to kind of wear and talk about, especially with people that will recognize a random watch that I have. But kind of stepping away from me, some of the things that we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned, some different pricing options. We're going to get into use cases and scenarios. And I know pricing, having worked with a lot of you before and just other customers as well, pricing can be pretty much as complex or as easy as you want to make it. So I'm hoping by the end of this webinar, you guys will be able to breathe a little easier, either because you found a way to do something that you're already doing, but you found an easier way to handle that within SalesPad, or you have some kind of pricing scheme or pricing solution that you guys are trying to maybe implement or have thought about kicking around. And you've seen that you're now able to do that within SalesPad. So this is just a brief overview of what we're going to cover today. So our SalesPad pricing options, I'm going to just talk about general pricing overview inside of SalesPad, how that compares to the GP side, our different types of pricing options that we have. With that, because we do have multiple pricing options that can cause some overlap, we do have a pricing hierarchy that our system follows. And then we're going to get into the specifics. So what kind of pricing options are, pricing options that are actually setting your price versus ones that are just modifying a price that's coming in from somewhere else. We're going to get into just some of the miscellaneous ones that I mentioned. So, and these aren't necessarily the ones that are specific to pricing. It's maybe a promotional item, or it's a coupon, or a cross-sell, upsell type of thing. So those kind of things are going to fall into the miscellaneous ones. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with just some pricing tools that I think are going to be helpful for users, especially if you're using some of the pricing options to talk about, but others that are just going to be useful, I think, in general. And then we'll do a demo where I'm going to go over some of the more utilized and I think it's a bit of mix. It's the more utilized pricing options, some of the ones that are more popular, and then maybe some of that are a little underutilized that I think people and customers, you guys can get some good use out of. So to jump right in, our pricing overview, as I'm sure a lot of you know, if you don't, SalesPad honors both GP standard and extended pricing, but we also have our own pricing tools, pricing options that are going to expand that functionality from GP. And then, the GP standard pricing is going to be something that you can maintain within SalesPad. It is, your standard price levels and things like that. The GP extended pricing is something that is honored within SalesPad. You are able to view a customer's extended pricing from their customer card, but it is not something that we can maintain within SalesPad. So while standard pricing is something that can be maintained in SalesPad, the extended pricing has to be maintained within GP. And sometimes that, will dictate which way you guys decide to go with pricing. And as I mentioned, there's kind of I like to break down our pricing options into two categories. There's ones that are going to set the price. And these are options that actually change the unit price of an item. So as you are adding on an item or adding an item to a sales line, the unit price itself, the price field is being modified or is updated to reflect the price that you've specified. So whether or not that be contract pricing, customer special pricing, or group pricing, these are the three options that SalesPad offers that we have that will actually go ahead and set the price for you. On the other side is going to be the ones that modify your price. So these are going to be things like our sales promotions, customer discounts, the header trade discount, and our sales line markdowns. So I call them modifiers. This is going to be something that is taking the existing price that's maybe coming in from, again, maybe one of the pricing options that I just talked about. Maybe you're using an existing SalesPad pricing option, or you're using the GP standard price. As I mentioned, the price is going to come in at a certain unit price, but then maybe on top of that, you want to apply an additional discount or some kind of additional markdown. These ones are going to affect that unit price where it's not changing the unit price itself. It's just adjusting how your extended price is calculated from your, quantity times your unit price. So some of these things are going to be things that we'll go over in the demo. So I'll touch on that if we need to, just so that's a little bit more clear. And the next thing here, so now that we're going to get into the actual pricing options, we're going to jump into the pricing hierarchy. So based on setup, there are going to be instances where you guys maybe have multiple pricing options from SalesPad that you're utilizing at the same time. And because of that, there could be some overlap. So in these scenarios where there is overlap, we have a pricing hierarchy that the system uses to determine what pricing option is going to be used in those cases. And I do have the hierarchy listed out there. The top one, the highest one, meaning if you have this set up, this is the price that's going to take precedence over everything else, is going to be our contract pricing. Right underneath contract pricing is going to be our customer special pricing. From there, it's going to be group pricing. And then finally, if all else fails, maybe, either for a customer or for an item, you don't have anything special set up, and it's just going to default to the GP pricing option. So starts out with contract, we'll trickle through if there are any others set up, and then land on the GP pricing as a fallback or as a failsafe. And I'm going to cover these in the order of their hierarchy. So contract pricing is going to be the first one I start with. And it is available for contract pricing is available for creating, updating, and viewing contract prices per customer for an item or items from the customer card. So contract pricing, as it calls out, it is per customer. So it's something that you have to maintain on a per customer basis, as well as a per item basis, kind of depending on how you want to set that up or configure it. It is configured on the customer card. It's visible on the customer card. And there are two types of contracts that we offer. There is the detailed contract, which counts only one item number toward a total contract quantity. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have two items that you want to have, a customer's going to have a contract for. You have item A and item B. Item A, they're going to get a contract quantity of, maybe $65 for the next 200 that they purchase. So you have basically a unique contract or an individual contract for that item for that customer. Item B, as the second item in that contract, you're going to have it be $70 for the next 50 that they purchase. Again, they both have their own individual pricing and their own individual contract quantity cutoff. One of the kind of things that comes up is, hey, let's say they're at their 45 of 50 and they purchase 10 more. The system is aware and smart enough to know that they will get the contract price for the remaining quantity. So again, if it's 45 and they've got 10 left, or they want to order 10 more and their limit is 50 and they're at 45, they will get the contract price for that 5 that remain. And then a new line item will be added to reflect whatever the next pricing is. So if I kind of just jump back here, if you run out of contract pricing for an item, it's going to fall back to the hierarchy to see, okay, their contract's been satisfied. What's the next pricing option that they should be getting? So detail, you just think it's at the item. Think of it as item detail. It's going to be per item, or each item will have a dollar amount that you're offering them and a quantity up to that you're offering that for. The next option is going to be group contracts. So this counts a customer's purchase of multiple items towards a total contract quantity. So you can think of it as like a pool of items that are being purchased that all go towards a single contract quantity. So this is useful when you've got multiple items of the same type with different item numbers. Kind of think of it as, I've got an overall contract quantity of 1,000 units, and I've got items A, B, and C. If I wanted to, I can still have items A, B, and C be priced separately and uniquely for the item, but any quantity that I purchase for, or that the customer purchase of those 3 items will go towards the overall contract quantity. So if the contract quantity is 1,000 and they can buy either A, B, or C to fulfill that, if they buy 999 of A and 1 of B, then that contract is fulfilled, completed, and then, like I said before, it will move to or fall back to our pricing hierarchy to see, hey, from there forward, what pricing option should they be getting after that? Another kind of a good example of a use case for that would be for at least the detail, or the group rather, is going to be something like t-shirts or something that has different attributes, but it's very similar items. So, a t-shirt has different sizes, different colors. Maybe they're priced similarly. So you're just having a contract on t-shirts for them. So if you buy 5,000 t-shirts, it doesn't matter which color or size, those will go towards your contract. And some of this I kind of already touched on, but this is just calling out some of those use cases. If you want to, contract pricing is useful if you have a contract for an individual customer or maybe a couple of customers. Again, you still have to maintain these separately per customer. But if you have a contract for individual customers or items, the detailed contracts, as I talked about, are useful for individual item contracts or for using the same contract quantity and date range for multiple items. But each item will have its own separate contract quantity. So I didn't mention this earlier, but these are also controlled by date ranges. So if you wanted to, you can say, hey, this is your contract, as we mentioned, for this is your contract we mentioned for the 1,000 items, but it's only valid for you up until the end of this year. After that, again, the contract's no longer valid and it will fall back, or the system will fall back to the standard hierarchy for pricing inside of SalesPad. Yeah, and then the group contracts, useful for a contract of multiple items of the same type that have same or have different item numbers rather. So all items in the group contract will count towards that. Again, example being t-shirts or something else that you sell. You kind of group together as part of a contract, but have different attributes. And t-shirts have colors and sizes, maybe they have logos, but things that kind of fall within that range is where this is really useful for. The next one here, customer special pricing. Another one similar to contract pricing that is available on the customer card for entry and maintenance, as well as at the time of order entry, where users are prompted to save a price for future use. So there's actually kind of twofold for customer special pricing. It's something that you can sort of predetermine. It's you contractually talk to this customer, you figured out, okay, these are the prices for the items, these set of items that they're going to get. You can predetermine that and fill those out. And then as you add those line items to an order, it will grab that new pricing. Customer special pricing is also useful in cases where maybe you're doing quoting or you're maybe trying to smooth over something that, a missed shipment, you're trying to smooth over a customer for some reason or the other. Customer special pricing has an ability at the sales entry phase where if I add a sales line item and I manually enter a price to change it, I'm going to be prompted as a user to say, hey, is this a one-time price or is this a price that you want to give them, for the foreseeable future? So it's sort of like as you're negotiating, if some of your reps or people that are involved in that have the ability to, or the leeway to have some wiggle room in the pricing, they can use that as sort of a negotiating tool of, playing with the numbers to figure out, hey, we can give it to you at this price for this one time, or hey, maybe for the next 2 months, we can give it to you at this price. So the user will be prompted to, or can be prompted to enter a one-time price, at which point it's only good for that one order or that one quote. Or if they want to save it for later, it will go back to the customer card where it can be, modified for a date range and whatnot. So that's what that's calling out there. Enter it on the customer card or at the time of order entry or sales entry, depending on the scenario. And there are two types of special pricing available at customer special pricing or for customer special pricing. There's the item level. So this is a fixed amount, or allows you to set fixed amount, quantity breaks, and a date range. So per item, maybe I say item A, they'll get this price if they order between 1 and 10. Otherwise, they'll get, regular pricing. Or if I don't want to put a quantity break in and they'll get it no matter what up until the date range, I can do that as well. So you do have flexibility in how you're saying when they're actually able to get this price. Maybe they don't get it until they order 50 or more. And they only get it for a month or something along those lines. So you do have some flexibility there with the customer special pricing. The other side of this, so besides it being per item, individually being added, the other way is an item class. So the item class lets you specify a price level that you want to associate. So the easiest kind of example for that, if we jump into some of the use cases here, is going to be, I still want to utilize my standard pricing. I don't want my price levels. I don't want to give them just a straight custom price. So maybe I have like a premier tier pricing level that this customer is not a part of. But again, maybe through negotiations or to smooth things over, you want to give them a premier price for a certain set of item classes. Customer special pricing will allow you to do that too. So you can say, okay, for this customer, for this item class, anytime they purchase it, they will get it at the premier price level as opposed to maybe retail. Or if it's a retail, maybe they'll get it at your wholesale customer level. You'll give them a deal because they said they're going to, provide more volume, something like that. So you have the option to do it individually per item quantity, or for a quantity break range or a date range, for multiple items as well. So it's not just, one item at one item. You can have multiple items, but each one is priced individually. Or you can do it at an item class level, but at the item class level, you're just specifying a different price level that you would give them access to. Yeah, and as I mentioned, the use cases, you're sort of maybe trying to win more business with the customer, or they've talked about giving you more volume for certain things. I'd say probably in that case, like the item class one will be a little easier. Maybe you've got items, or maybe you just have, this is a customer that does a lot of volume with you. You've got item classes that aren't moving very well or moving slowly. You want to give them a discount or give them a discount at the item class level to maybe help move along or move some of that product out. The next one here, group pricing. So group pricing has a group pricing screen. So this is one of the first ones, the first one I've talked about that isn't specific to a customer. Group pricing can be assigned to multiple customers at one time. So there is a separate group pricing screen for setup and maintenance. And we also have a mass update or a mass updated screen that is called group pricing maintenance for doing some mass updates. Maybe, hey, for this entire item group or this item, the price went up, so I want to increase the price across all groups that have that, something along those lines. So those are things I'm going to show when we get into the demo. But the big thing with group pricing is probably one of our most powerful pricing options, or it probably is our most powerful pricing option that we offer. You've got multiple pricing options that you can apply. So you can say, I want to apply a fixed price where I'm just going to manually give them an amount. It's going to be $100 for this item. You can do percent and amount adjustments, which are going to be off of your list price. So if I want to give them a discount, I can say, you're going to get this for 95% of list, which will give them a 5% discount. Or I want to give them 110% of list, so they'll get a 10% markup. So we can do both of those options depending on how you want to how you're setting up your pricing. There is also markup and margin percentage, and those are going to be off of either current or standard cost. So you are limited by these options and which one you're using. So again, fixed price is just going to be, I'm manually keying in a price. Percent and amount adjustment are only able to be used off of list price. There's a separate little field for you to fill that in. And markup and margin percent are only going to be available from current or standard cost. Along with the different pricing options, you can assign customers to a single price group or to multiple price groups. So similar to our pricing hierarchy, there is a sequencing within group pricing as well, so to make things even more complicated. You can have a pricing hierarchy of contract, special, and group, and then within your group pricing, there is also a pricing hierarchy based on a sequence. So when assigned to multiple groups, a customer, SalesPad follows a grouping sequence hierarchy associated with that group. So you are able to adjust and move them up or down accordingly. But the first one or the highest one in the sequence is the one that will get that price first. There's also a lot of options to limit customers or when a group price is going to be valid, including the warehouse. You can specify it to a doc ID. You can specify a specific date range. And one thing with the customers that I didn't touch on is when you're assigning customers, you can assign it to just the customer as a whole, or you can assign it to individual customer addresses. So maybe if you're doing like a promotion, in my example that you'll see, I did a Midwest promotion. So I picked customers that have addresses in the Midwest. Some of them have addresses in other locations as well, or they have warehouses in other locations. Those don't apply. So I am limiting it to the address level. So you can get very granular with how you want to decide when group pricing is valid. Besides the options that I showed here, warehouse, doc ID, address, and date range, there is also just a generic option as well that gives you more flexibility. And this is essentially not, I wouldn't say custom, but it's a field that you want to decide, hey, we've got some random field on the customer that we want to dictate that determines when this group pricing is specified. We can feed that information into our pricing engine, pricing options, to just say, hey, the value for this customer's random field doesn't meet the one we need to apply this group pricing, so group pricing won't apply. Or in other cases, maybe it will, and you'll see that price apply. So you're not just limited to what I've shown here of the warehouse and doc ID. There is a generic field that gives you a lot more flexibility on how you want to do that. There is also back to like the item detail or the item. So I've talked about creating a group. I've talked about, assigning the customers. At the item level, you can do individual items, like I've mentioned, on the special pricing or on the contract pricing, or you can do it at the item class level. So you can say for an entire item class, we're going to mark this up by 10%, or we'll, 10% off of list, or we want to make sure for this entire customer class group, we are getting, 35% margin from our current cost. Something along those lines. So some of the use cases I've already sort of touched on. I would say the key thing to kind of remember here is the pricing option that you want to choose for your individual item. So fixed amount is manually entered. Percent adjustment and amount adjustment are off of your list price. Markup percentage and margin percentage are going to be off of your current or standard cost. So I would say those last four options are especially useful in cases where maybe you have frequent pricing changes, or you have to update your list price often, or your current cost is changing. When you're pricing off, which maybe you don't want to do this too, depending on how sensitive your customers are to cost or price changes or price increases, because this also will mean pricing would go down as well. So there's a bit of a, balance there. But if you're basing your pricing off of a percent adjustment or a markup or margin percentage off of your current or standard cost, as your cost goes up, automatically your pricing will also go up. And again, I know some people probably don't want that option, but that is available to you where you kind of don't have to pay attention to it as much if that's something that your customers aren't as sensitive to. But a couple of other use cases, again, so we've had customers that use the GP extended pricing that will shift from extended pricing into SalesPad's group pricing because it is the closest that we offer for extended pricing. The price sheets are similar to the groups as you're assigning groups and items at discounts, then you can assign customers to those groups or price sheets. So there is a close equivalent to the extended pricing if you're familiar with it. There are some things that we don't offer really, like there's extended pricing as promotional pricing or promos and things like that. There aren't specific promos in group pricing, but there are quantity breaks. I don't know if that's actually called out, but you can do quantity breaks on the pricing as well if you wanted to. It's also useful if you want to just apply pricing for a certain group of customers for certain items or item classes. So maybe you've got a set of special customers or you've got a set of special items that you want to either discount or mark up, but you don't want to have to go through customer special pricing and set it for everybody. You don't want to create a separate price level and handle it that way. Group pricing, you can create a group, add those special items at the prices that you want them to be. And if it's available to only a set of customers, you can just add those customers to that group. Or if it's something that is going to be, across your company, every customer gets this, there's a checkbox that just says, make this available to all customers. So maybe you want to do it as like a end of year clearance or something where you're trying to just get rid of back stock, things that, are going to be obsolete soon enough. Create a group for that, add those items and the pricing discounts that you want to account for, and then just assign that to all customers. Anytime a customer purchases one of those, they're going to get that special pricing for it. One more thing to this one. I do have a customer that pretty much got rid of all of their GP pricing. I think they might have one base price level in case they've maybe missed something so that nothing comes in at zero. which we still have kind of checks for through workflow. But they've pretty much moved all of their pricing to group pricing. It makes it easier for them to maintain within SalesPad, either through imports through a spreadsheet, or again, as I mentioned, the maintenance screen. So I do have some customers that are just solely using this for all of their pricing within SalesPad. The next thing here, this is getting into those other ones that I mentioned. So we're shifting gears from pricing that is changing your unit or setting your unit price, and we're getting into the ones that are modifying, or maybe some miscellaneous ones. So we have a couple of these here that I'm calling out. Sales promotions. It allows users to set up promotions such as if you spend X, get Y discounts. You can also include free freight or an amount off of freight. So these are going to be things that apply at the header level. And we do have some cues or some kind of call outs to users in the system to say, hey, based on you entering this order and the criteria for a specific sales promotion, this customer falls under that promotion, which you can then apply it, and maybe they'll get free freight, or again, they'll get X amount off. If it's something that you want to maybe make it more so the customer requires you to is required to bring it up. You don't want to just give away discounts if the customer doesn't necessarily know it. It also allows for coupon generation. So sales promotions is also coupon codes. So you can generate coupons and then, throughout your marketing, send out an email blast and mail those out or send those out. And then as customers order, they can say, hey, I've got a coupon code. The CSR can put that in, and the CSR will be able to tell them, hey, you maybe you don't meet the criteria for this coupon. You need to spend $150. If you just buy $20 more, you'll hit that. So it's a bit of a good and bad. You're maybe giving a discount, but you're also getting more products sold. But that is where sales promotions is probably bigger than other things, other discount options that we have. Is it does allow for the creation of coupon codes. Those can be generic and assigned or available to every user or every customer, something like free freight. But for maybe VIP customers or special customers, customers that you met at like a booth, a trade show, you can create specific or unique coupons for them, so that only them as a customer are able to utilize those coupons. The next one here, customer discounts. I kind of liken it to sales, spring sale, fall sale, winter sale. What it lets you do is apply a discount to either an item class, if you fill an item class in, or if you leave it blank, it will be every item class. So all items would get this discount. But what the item class lets you do, or I'm sorry, what the customer discount lets you do is create this discount for a percentage off, again, either item class or all item classes. You can then assign those discounts to customers. And then during order entry, those discounts can be applied or turned off depending on the situation. I have a customer that uses this. They utilize, or they work with schools, so they sell a lot of school supplies, calculators, and things like that. They have discounts essentially that they've negotiated with these various schools, and sometimes it's by district, sometimes it's by state. But they are using customer discounts to maintain and manage those discounts per school or district or state, however they need to do that. So they're maintaining them within customer discounts, and then they're also applying or not applying them based on the different criteria that they have. So it's very straightforward. Once it's set up, you just add a line item. If the item falls within that item class, or if it's a blank class, it'll just add a discount percent to the markdown field. And that is how this is one of the ones that doesn't necessarily change the unit price itself. It just is a discount on top of that. And then the next one here, trade discounts and markdowns. I'm not going to get too much into this. I put it on here because it is useful. Trade discounts are the same as the trade discounts that are going to be familiar with people that are used to GP. So there's a discount field at the header level that will apply a discount amount or a discount percentage off the entire order. We also have markdowns at the sales line level. So if I wanted to, maybe I don't want to mark down an entire order 10%, maybe I want to give this one item a 10% markdown. I can do that per line item if I wanted to at the line level. The customer discounts and the markdown, the sales line markdowns, they utilize the same field. So when a customer discount is applied, a discount amount is getting added to, or discount percentage is getting added to that markdown percentage. These are the miscellaneous ones that I kind of called out. So the ones that we just covered are going to be your modifiers to your pricing. These are just miscellaneous ones where they don't necessarily fall into that same category. So item promotions, they go alongside sales promotions. They're in the same setup screen. Sales promotions are on the header level. As I mentioned, you can get free freight or a discount off freight, a discount off your total. That's happening at the header level. Item promotions are going to be, as it sounds, at the item level. So it allows users to set up promotions such as buy X, get Y free, as well as vendor rebates and markdowns on either an amount or a percentage basis that apply at the item level. So if you buy X, get Y free, it will add a free item to the sales line once the promotion is valid and applied. And we have a number of different ways to kind of call that out to the end user. But I can say, hey, if you buy this, again, this promo, you buy 2 of these, you'll get 1 of this free. And that will automatically add that to the sales line. Item aggregate pricing I throw on here just because it's got a unique use case. It's for built-in GP pricing functionality with price levels and quantity breaks. So if you're familiar, 1 to 10, you get it for this price, 11 to 20, you get it for this price, and so on. If you have items that are similar, that would fall under similar pricing breaks or quantity breaks, in the normal process, it does not allow you to kind of combine them. So if item A has a 1 to 10 price and it's the same as item B, you have to make sure you're not going to get the price if you buy 5 and 5 or 5 and 6. You have to do it each item as a whole has to pass its quantity break. What item aggregate pricing allows you to do is just that. It lets you get around that and say, I have 2 items that are set up very similar. They're set up similar. They have the same quantity breaks, the same pricing. They're just different items. Again, my break is from 1 to 10. If I buy 5 and 6, neither one is meeting the individual quantity break, but with aggregate pricing, it will allow you to give that discount pricing to that customer for purchasing the 2 simultaneously. So it's basically quantity breaks across multiple items is kind of the easiest way to think about that. So I throw it on there. Again, it's a unique use case. I've had it come up a couple of times, but I'm guessing it doesn't get talked about a lot. So I wanted to call that out in case that is something someone on the call is, suffering with or maybe it's something that they've wanted to been able to do, maybe to just move more inventory. And the last one here is cross-sell, upsell. So cross-sell, upsell, or cross-sell items are items that are purchased together and can have discounts applied to them when purchased together. This will add a new item. So cross-sell items adds a new item. So you can kind of think of it as like a complementary item. Hey, you bought X. People that buy X also buy Y. I'm sure we've all seen that as we've bought anything online in like the last couple of years. They're always getting you at the end in your cart to add those last few items. So that is what a cross-sell item is. It is, again, it's a complementary item. You buy X, most people also buy Y. And if that is something that they decide to go with, you can add that item easily through our little cross-sell, upsell interface. An upsell item is exactly what it sounds like. You're trying to upsell them. So items that relate to the existing item, but maybe either a higher quality version or the next model up or has special features. If you decide to, the customer does decide to, hey, I will take that upsell item. When you add that, it will replace the existing item. So, hey, I see you're getting item A. Well, for a few dollars more, you can get item B and it has XYZ better. That sounds good. Add item B. It will replace item A for you automatically without the user really having to do much besides just push the button. I will say the nice thing with the cross-sell, upsell is it also does give you a little section for a pitch. So if somebody is nervous, or maybe even if it's a newer employee to that side of it, and they're not quite sure, they don't know the products as well as people that have been there for longer, you can provide them with like a sort of a script or a pitch for them to use towards or as talking points for either cross-selling or upselling to another customer or to their customer. And the last thing with the cross-sell upsell, I've had a customer use this in sort of an unorthodox way, in a way that it wasn't probably necessarily intended to, but with just the upsell side, because upsell, when it's selected, will replace an item. They're utilizing the upsell portion to be essentially like replacement items or suggested items. So with SalesPad, we only really offer the replace by field, which is limited. So if you have more than one item that can be, or if you have an item that can be replaced with multiple different items, maybe it's like a generic of something or some other multiples, you can utilize this as a way of not necessarily upselling them, but just saying, hey, maybe we're out of this item. Here are some substitute items that you can purchase. And maybe they happen to be more or less. But the thought of it is that they're using it as a replacement and not necessarily as a function to upsell or a point to upsell the customer. And then lastly here, before we jump into the demo, just some helpful pricing tools. The special pricing maintenance. So basically some of the main ones that I covered, customer special pricing and group pricing, they both have maintenance screens for you to do mass updates to it. So as it mentions, mass update screen for updating and maintaining special pricing, mass update using a price or a discount percentage. Maybe you've got a certain item for multiple customers, special pricing that price went up or the cost went up. So you need to increase their price. You can do that as a flat amount increase, or you can do a discount or a discount percentage or a percentage on how you want to adjust that. Same is true for the group pricing. Mass update screen for updating the existing group pricing, either update by a percentage or a dollar amount, but it also does allow you to kind of mess with the quantity breaks as well if you wanted to. Customer discount maintenance is specific in that it's how you can either apply or remove in mass some of the discounts. So I mentioned customer discounts are going to be what I think of as like it's my fall sale or my winter sale, and which customers do I want to give this to? Instead of going into each customer and selecting the different discounts you want to offer to them, you use this discount maintenance to push those discounts to that customer. And then the last one here, even though it's the first bullet here, is sales line item pricing trace. So it allows you to see all of the available pricing options for an item and the hierarchy of these pricing options. So this is useful when maybe you have contract pricing and special pricing and standard pricing for one customer for an item, and you're wondering, why is this price coming in for this customer for that item? You can use the pricing trace to track that down. One, it's going to show you, here are all the options available for that customer, as well as why that one was chosen. So I'll jump into that as well. I have a good example of that. And we're going to jump into the demo here. So this is not meant to be like a configuration walkthrough or anything like that. I have things configured. This is more of like a high level, so you can see as users what this functionality looks like here. So jumping into my SalesPad, I'm going to start out with the contract pricing. So I'm going to go in the same order that I did before. So I have a customer who has contract pricing. So this is what contract pricing looks like. It is available here on the customer tab or the customer card, contract pricing tab. You can see I have two different contracts available. I have my hard drive, which is a grouped one, and I have my audio, which is a detail. So there is some like basic reporting built into this as well. I can see my overall contract quantity. I can see how much they've already purchased towards that contract. So my amount remaining should be the difference between these two. My valid date ranges for this, as well as the type. So As we can see over here for my group, or my grouped contract, I have 4 different hard drive items. I have them set at different prices. So they're still going to get priced at HD 120 is a higher volume than the HD 20. So it has a higher price. I can still give them a discount on it for, again, the volume that they'll have. But individually, you'll see that I've got 5 and 5, and those are both going towards the overall contract quantity because of the grouping or the grouped contract here. With the detail, you'll notice I haven't done anything with this one. So 200 contract quantity, 0 purchase, 200 remain. But each item has its own contract price and its own contract quantity. So as I purchase these, A100s will go towards the A100 amount. A200 will go towards the A200 amount. So each one is its own separate thing. Maybe if they've purchased, if they purchased 200 of the A100, or they purchase 101 of the A100, even though they still have a contract quantity of 200 total, they've ran through the contract quantity for the A100. So now it's going to fall through the hierarchy to figure out what the next pricing should be. So you can think of these as really just individual item contracts. So for $60, you get this, or for 100 units, you get it for 60. For 100 units, you get it for 70. Once you've gone over 100 for this one, you're going to get this one at the normal price, but this one you'll still get at that special price up until, again, you've consumed that contract quantity. And just to kind of show you, it is real time as you are saving these. So if I create a sales order and I add an HD 20, a couple of things I want to call out here. So another tool along with the special, or along with the pricing trace, is this price source column. So this is also useful to determine where your pricing is coming from. So SP contract is the SalesPad contract pricing. I know this is the only pricing I have set up for them, so that makes sense that this is where that's coming from. And maybe I want to purchase 5 of these. As soon as my order is saved, if I come back here and refresh, I'm going to see, oh, well, this is for the grouping one. So the overall purchase quantity is now 15, and they bought 10 of the HD 20s. So as soon as you save the order, that information is reflected back here for some sort of basic reporting. But then if you did want to see, there is a sales lines tab that will show you the sales line items that are getting that pricing for them. So I can see I've got this spread across a couple of different orders. 2 orders, 1 order for the HD 20, 1 order for the HD 25, and then this one here has HD 40. So this is the same order here. And then there is an audit trail as well. This is just going to track changes that have been made to the contracts themselves. So as contract items are used or utilized, as pricing changes, or maybe someone's updating things, it will keep track here in the little contract audit or contract pricing audit. And then just to show you really quick, I'll show this a couple of times. Normally your sales line pricing trace is going to be in this little drop down next to insert. But I've made it an action button, so it's available to me here. And it showed up on my other screen. So here I can see we've got contract pricing for the HD 20. So this is the price. This is what it came in as, or this is what it's utilizing. Then there is also standard pricing. This is the GP pricing. With standard pricing, it's kind of telling me more details. Hey, it's standard pricing and it's associated to this price level. Maybe there's multiple price levels it's associated with. So you'll see that detail here. But yeah, that's the contract pricing. Again, as this contract pricing is used up, let's say I use all 500 for this next order. It should tell me that I've ran out of my contract price and I need to, it'll basically add a new line item for me at that new price. So it says only 485 of the line's 1,000 quantity can be used on that contract. Do you want to create a line with overflow, or do you want to reduce it to just meet that full contract quantity? So if they want the 1,000, you can say yes, create an overflow. And we can see here, it created an overflow line for the difference, and that's now coming in at that standard price because again, they've fully consumed their contract, even though we spread it out across multiple items. They decided to consume all of it with just the HD20 mostly. The next one here that I'm going to jump into is going to be our customer special pricing. It is superfood. Customer special pricing is under the special pricing tab. It's going to be very similar, looks similar to the contract pricing. I don't have anything configured for the item class side, but this is where you would say, I want to give, an item class a specific price level. So maybe they're going to get the special price level when they purchase the retail item. Meanwhile, on the right side here, I have my contract pricing per item. So in this case, when they buy an A100 between these dates for any quantity, they'll get it for this price here. You can come in and make changes to this after you've added it. But you can also add a new custom price if you wanted to. So the item number, the unit of measure associated with it, the price that they're going to get, and then if there's any dates or quantity restrictions that you want to apply to them. So for this one, I'm just going to add my A100, and then I'll show you that prompt I was talking about earlier at the beginning for like the one-time pricing. So A100, just like before, customer special pricing. So we can see instead of contract, this is falling under the special customer special pricing. So that's what's getting set here. If I add another item, this one has no pricing set up for this customer besides standard. So it's coming in at the standard price of $70. But maybe I want to give that to them. We negotiated it down to 60. I can manually change that. And then I'm given this prompt to see, hey, is this a one-time price or do you want to use this going forward? If I just say, yeah, if I hit cancel or if I say one-time price, nothing else is going to happen. It's going to be one-time price. The next time I add this item to the sales line, it's going to come back in with that 70. You'll notice this one says manual. But let's say I do it again. And this time we've decided, yeah, they're going to get it for the next 2 weeks or 2 months. You'll notice I didn't say canceler one time, and then now instead of manual, it says customer special. So if I add this item again, it's now going to come into our customer special pricing at the $60. And if I refresh my screen here, I've got a new entry here that I can come in and define and say, yeah, we discussed that they're going to get this for the next 2 months. This is the price that item is going to be for them. So it's a way, again, quick one-time price changes or something that you want to maybe negotiate with them for a set amount of time. Next one is going to be the group pricing. So as I mentioned, group pricing has its own separate screen. So there is group pricing. And then under sales, there's a maintenance section. And I can mention this too for special pricing. So for special pricing maintenance, this is the customer special pricing. So if I search this, I'll see the superfood, the item I already had, the item I just added, and then some methods to update that pricing. So this will show any special pricing you've set up for a customer. So it's honestly just a good way too to see if there's any that maybe you've had in the past that you've missed turning off. Those will show up for you there. And then group pricing maintenance is very similar. It's going to show you any pricing you have set up in groups. And then from there, your different pricing options to adjust those. For group pricing, you can see I've got a couple of different groups, but the main one here I'm going to focus on is my Midwest promo that I mentioned. It's got some items in here. I'm adjusting them by my percentage adjustment off of list. So these 4 items, I'm adjusting off of my list price, 90% for all of them. I can have differing amounts here if I wanted to, but they're essentially getting a 10% discount off of list. If I come to my customers, these are the customers and customer addresses that I have associated. So Adam Park is getting all their locations because they're completely in the Midwest. Alton Manufacturing only has one location in the Midwest, so it's just that one that's valid. And then my Aaron Fitz has several that are in the Midwest, so these ones are utilized as well for that. And so what this looks like, twofold, there is a group pricing tab to show. So again, this is kind of also why it's a little similar to the extended pricing and how it shows up here is if they're in multiple groups, you'll see the groups listed here. This customer is only in one, so I can see the items, the price value, yeah, and then just some other things. So beginning and end date, if there is a amount, there may be some other columns here we can add in. Just kind of depends on your use case. But if I create an order for this customer, and I can see it's A100 is one of the discount ones. You'll notice that it's going to come in with standard pricing. And that is because I set this customer up to be by location. So I need to change this to their primary address. This is the one that will get the discount or that discounted or group pricing because that's how I have it set up. So just an example of how you can break this out by address or ship to on the group pricing side. So one location will not get the group pricing, the other location will. So again, just another way that you can split that out. The other options available in group pricing, as I called out, are going to be, your doc type, doc ID. Maybe only a certain warehouse will be able to provide this discount, so they have to be getting it from that warehouse. And then the generic value is also available here in the additional columns. So I know we're running short on time. There is just two other things I want to talk about quick. One is this customer has all of the pricing options available. So I wanted to show you how that hierarchy works. So this customer has contract pricing, special pricing, and group pricing all set up. And we'll notice that it's coming in with my contract price. So if I come to my pricing trace, we can see how, well, maybe they don't have special pricing for this item. So we can see contract pricing is at 65, and that is the highest sequence. So this is the highest tier, followed by group pricing, which shows the different groups that are available or the different options available. This is broken out because of their addresses, I believe. Then finally, just the general standard pricing. So again, useful tool to just see how pricing is breaking out for a customer for an item. And then the last thing I wanted to cover here was just our cross-sell upsell. So as I mentioned earlier, I think it's a useful tool. It's just one that isn't used as often. So if I choose an item that is a cross-sell upsell item, my HD60, we'll see some information pull up here. So I have a couple of different ways of setting this up. So there is under sales a cross-sell upsell maintenance, which allows you to set up global items, which means it's going to be available to sell or cross-sell for no matter what item you're adding to the line. And then there are specific ones. So global, no matter what, will always show this for every item added. HD60 will only show these items as either a cross-sell or an upsell. So here I've got my pitch for this one. So this is the text area for my pitch. As I click on these, I can see the text here. I can, negotiate that or tell that to the customer that I'm on the phone with to see if that's something that they want to go along with. And then updating these or setting these as easy as just selecting, do I want an upsell? Do I want to, I need to change this here. I want to break this out by type. So these are my cross sells, which will just add an additional item, or these are my upsells, which will actually replace this. So I want to replace this with the HD40. I have it selected. I'll hit add, and it's going to swap that out, as opposed to my cross sell item, which will just add that item for me automatically. So, yeah, sorry, Elizabeth here. I know we ran a little late, but those are the main things that I wanted to kind of cover here. I know we have I don't know if we have much time for some Q&A. Hopefully, if there's any that came in, we can get back to you too if there isn't.
Yeah, we have a couple questions here. And again, we're recording this, so if anyone has to drop off, we'll do our best to get you that recording, but I'm going to hit you real quick, Brandon. So is contract pricing always quantity limited or can it be time limited?
Yes, it can be time limited. So you can put a date in there, and if they don't meet their quantity, you always have to put a quantity in. I don't know. I don't think it. I'd have to check and see if it allows you to not put a quantity in. If it doesn't matter, you can put a huge amount in there. Put 1 million, and they'll probably, if they assuming they don't hit it. But yeah, you can say it's only valid within these date ranges.
Okay. Let's see. So someone is wondering or basically verifying you can create reports to track contact pricing and how much they purchased in a month. Is that true? Are you able to create reports from that?
Yeah, so we do have, yeah, we can create a report. We say we have our built-in stuff, but that doesn't really break it down by time. So if you want to see, hey, this month they purchased 3 times against the contract versus last month they purchased 5 times. Our built-in stuff isn't going to show you that, but yeah, it's all in the database, so we can build a report that would convey that.
Perfect. And then last one, Brandon, using group pricing in SalesPad, can you replicate GP's extended pricing so that you can assign products to different groups as well as customers to different groups that get various discount levels? And then assign the product groups to the customer groups such that a customer group will only get their assigned discount on the assigned product groups only. I know there's a lot there, and we may have to follow up with you, Steve, but
Yeah, that one I might have to read that to dissect it.
okay. Yep, that's fair.
Yeah.
We will touch base with Steve there. But that's gonna conclude today's webinar. Brandon, thank you for sharing a lot about pricing. We already have some nice compliments here. Let's see. We have another webinar, obviously next month. This is a series, so it continues through the end of the year. So October 24th, webinar is going to be all about Shopify. So you can tune in to learn how you can use SalesPad's e-commerce integration to seamlessly integrate your online store and leverage Shopify POS. So Evan Lyle will be our presenter for that one. If you'd like to explore your organization's specific needs further or have more questions about what you heard today, let us know. Reach out to your account manager or scan this QR code, fill out a short form, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Lastly, there's going to be a really short survey when you exit the webinar. We greatly appreciate your feedback. Thanks again for those of you sticking with us. I know we went a little bit over, but this is really, really great content. We know a lot was learned today. So thanks again for joining us, and we hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah. Thank you.